Are you looking to expand your aesthetic practice and attract high-quality new patients? Discover the power of digital marketing in growing your practice with a personalized strategy session. Join Ryan Davies, Equa's marketing director, for an exclusive 90-minute meeting. Ryan and his team will invest hours prior to your session, crafting a customized marketing plan tailored specifically for your practice. This invaluable opportunity comes at no cost to you, with no commitments attached. Schedule your meeting with Ryan today by visiting www.businessofesthetics.org/MSM and take the first step towards transforming your practice with the potential of digital marketing.
You're invited to join our exclusive monthly webinar brought to you by the Business of Aesthetics community. Don't let this chance slip through your fingers. Secure your spot now for a game-changing experience. Register for free on our homepage at www.businessofesthetics.org and get set to transform your strategies. You are listening to another episode of the Business of Aesthetic podcast series, brought to you by our gold sponsor, Equa Marketing. If you would like to network and share your experience with our podcast guests and other aesthetic industry professionals, join our Facebook or LinkedIn communities by searching for Business of Aesthetics. Prepare to be inspired as we introduce Ryan Davies, an esteemed professional and seasoned digital marketing advisor at Equa.com, renowned for his expertise in sales and marketing psychology. Ryan possesses a wealth of experience collaborating with companies and political campaigns. He profoundly understands the intricacies of consumer behavior and how it influences purchasing decisions. As a certified Sandler sales and challenger expert, he brings a unique perspective, employing innovative sales techniques that drive tangible results. Without further ado, let's dive in.
Hi, Ryan. It's happy to be here tonight. How are you doing?
I can't wait. This is going to be another fun one, Dana. I'm so happy to join you. I know, this is one of those things that we had started. We planned this a month ago, and just life has been life. So we are back again with another installment of the Business of Aesthetics podcast. And I'm Ryan Davies, your co-host here at the heart of the Business of Aesthetics community and podcast. But I also get to be joined tonight by another co-host. So Dana Zeitler, one of my great co-hosts here at the Business of Aesthetics podcast and CEO and founder of Deluxe Med Spa in Naples, Florida. So Dana, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I'm so excited. I always love it when we get to do our own little thing here on the podcast.
I love it too. I feel like we just have a really good vibe, and we always have fun together, and we cover some great topics that are super helpful for everybody. So
Absolutely.
I'm excited to be here tonight.
And tonight it's my turn to ask you questions. I know last time it was the other way around. It was you putting me on the spot. I'm gonna ask you all the hard ones tonight, Dana. I'm really excited because tonight you wanted to share with our audience like 3 things you wish you knew when you started your career, and also be able to talk about, some advice for newcomers and how to balance work and life, which I think is the magical equation at this point, if anybody can do it. And I know you have some great insights on that. Where do you want to start, Dana? Should we start with, some of the thoughts around that, or where would you like to kick off?
Yeah. Let's talk about balance. Like, what balance? What balance is there for a business owner? What is such a thing? That's a tough one. I am a work in progress with that one, Ryan, and I don't know how you're doing with your work-life balance, but I find that as I get older, I just get busier and busier because I want to learn more and more. And
Mhm.
my business is my baby. Like, it gives me that fire in my belly. So it's more than just a business. It's also a passion. So I find it super fun to work on my business. So like me doing this with you tonight, this is fun for me. It's sort of work, but I think it's really fun. And
Right. Yeah.
I have learned something with business is it's all about kind of the universe being connected. And there's something called a helper's high. And a helper's high is when you get a little bit of oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine from serving others. I think the Business of Aesthetics does that, where, we really are helping other business owners and injectors. And that also gives me, that just gives me juice to feel like I'm helping somebody else in their journey. along with my patients and my staff members. But for balance at home, I do a couple things that might be helpful. I'm not sure. I'm really into meditation. So I will do three things actually. When I get home, I make sure the first thing I do is I give my husband a hug. And it's like a really nice hug and a big warm, and it just takes my day away. We
That's
also
that good
walk.
oxytocin hit you were talking about right there for sure. I'm the same way. Walk in the door and take my two girls and here you go, come here. Okay. I feel good now, right? So yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great. I love that.
it's a good transition, and it's a habit that we have. It's kind of like a routine that, and it's like, okay, if we don't get to it, it's like, where's my hug? Like, I need that hug.
Yeah.
We also walk our dog together, and we talk about our day with no devices. So that's really important. And the other thing that I do is I get up earlier. I try to start my day without my device. I try to not look at my phone and have 10 minutes or 15 minutes of some sort of positive motivational tape or something where I'm thinking positive thoughts and thinking about what I'm grateful for. Sometimes I write that down.
Yeah.
And I have my coffee in quiet and just kind of my thoughts and journal. And that's really, really helped me with my work-life balance.
I really like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, I can speak volumes to a lot of what you do. I know when we do our dinners around the table, my girls love doing rose thorn bud. I don't know if you've ever heard of that
Mm.
before, but you talk about what was your rose today, so something was really exceptional. What was your thorn today? Something that's a thorn in your side. What's your bud? Something you're looking forward to, and just even spending that time without devices, without with everything out of, and it's not even just that, it's even on silent. I know my daughter's getting, my older one's getting older now, and when her tablet goes off from Messenger Kids, she like gets this like jittery, like itchy, almost addiction thing happening now where she gets an oxytocin, I think, from getting a message. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I love how you said, separate yourself from your device. And I need to take your advice on the don't start checking your devices when you wake up. I'm even worse. I sometimes roll over at 3 o'clock in the morning and check my email or check and see what
Oh
happened. And I'm like,
no,
this is
that's
a bad
terrible.
decision because if there's something there I didn't want to see, you bet I'm not going back to bed properly or, it's stirring in my head. So I love that idea of get out and kind of start that way and start the balance, from that perspective and
Uh,
how you've been able to manage all of that. And again, you've been busy before your 14 years, but as a 14-year business owner and founder, there's been a lot of, again, a lot of changes and a lot of things that you've learned along the way. And I know you really wanted to share, again, that the things you wish you knew when you started your career. Um, where do you want to kick off with that one? What do you have for some insight there? And I know a lot of people, again, when you started your career, we're going to have people who are at that stage who go, perfect. Again, with that helper's high, we don't want other people to make the
mhm.
same mistakes we made, but then also people who have been, for their journey for 10, 15, 20 years might just be nodding along going, yep, that's a good one. Yeah, I wish I would have, right? And kind of bring them back for that. So I'm going to let you be the star of the show here and take it away with, some of the things that you learned that you'd love to share with our audience.
Okay, so this was a tough one to really think about, but the first thing is don't believe everything you hear. I think that when I first started, I thought I wanted every shiny new device, every new product that came on the market. I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. Or, oh my God, it's the first thing that just came to market. I need the new thing. And now I'm like, hold on a second. Let's watch and wait. Let's make sure it works. Let's make sure it does what it, is supposed to do. So that is a huge one, I think, for people getting into the industry to really, you don't have to jump on every new product the moment it hits the market. It's okay to take your time with some of these things. And sometimes they come to market and they go away. And you're glad that you didn't jump on the new
Hmm.
product train. So that's really important. I think trust your gut. It's usually right. Like if something feels like it's not right, you really trust that, lean into it. Always put your patient's needs first. So above anything else, it's like first, piece of medicine is always do no harm to the patients, but I always put my patients' needs first. And sometimes that is referral to another provider. And I'm totally okay with that. If it's something that will serve them better than something that I have in my practice, I am okay saying, listen, I can't help you. And here's somebody down the street that I trust, or, here's some other person that I find that does this procedure better than me because here's what I do and I'm okay with that. So really put their needs first and develop your listening skills. This is a tough one. And it took me some time to really think about what my patient was saying and not have an answer in my mind before I listened to them and really heard, well, what are they really saying? What are they really asking for? And that has served me well for my consultation, but also hiring skills. So the more questions you ask and the more you really listen to people, it will help you with hiring and it will help you with consultations with your patients to really develop those skills and listening to your employees. That's really, really important. I did not do staff meetings or one-on-ones soon enough with my practice. And now I really sit down, I really talk to my staff. We have meetings and we kind of hash things out before tensions build or there's something weird that happens. So
Yeah.
everybody is on the same, playing field, or communication is at a higher level.
I have a bunch of questions to follow up with
Okay.
because I think there's a bunch that could come out of that. And I think one of the big things I would love to know about is, again, balancing work life, putting patients' needs first, and how you were able to create boundaries that are important to you, right? Because I think that is a big thing is we tend to overextend ourselves sometimes trying to go way above and beyond, which is great, but then we kind of do self-harm almost. And by doing that, we're really not helping patients when when you're so tired or when you're so distracted or things like that. So is that something that resonates with you? Is that something you went through and you find that you've been able to sort of, as your career has continued, been able to sort of create that sort of, I guess, those lanes for yourself to stay within?
Well, with patients, I'm really in the zone with patients. Like when I go into a room, it's almost like you're in, a different, I am laser focused
Yeah.
on my patient and the whole world could fall away.
Yeah.
So it is, what are they saying to me? What are their needs? And everything else, I'm in the zone. Like even my staff, I'm like, if I'm seeing patients back to back, I really don't want to be interrupted until the end of the day or the beginning of the day because I'm like in the zone.
Yeah.
For staff, it's been a little trickier because I really have to make time for those one-on-one meetings and come up with good questions to ask. The effective growth, how are you doing? Like, what are your goals for the future so that I can support my staff with not just what the business needs, but what they need. And I think what helped me the most with that is really figuring out my vision for my company and our mission, really narrowing that down of what we do, which is, help patients. And we want to be the most exclusive med spa in Southwest Florida. We want to have a training center. So putting our patients' needs first. And then also the core values. So our core values are honesty and trust, providing remarkable service, and being lifelong learners with a growth mindset. So we kind of, think about that with everything that we do with our practice. And I'm like, if it's not something remarkable that you can do for a patient or a colleague, always have that in your mind. Always have growth. So fail forward. We learn from our mistakes. And that has served us well.
I like that. And I think, again, that's probably something that's evolved, I would assume, over time as well, in
Mhm.
terms of refining and honing in on your culture and that growth behind it, that mentality. And when you start, it's probably much more like you said, one of the pitfalls is I want to do everything for everybody and I want every patient I can get. And now it's been like, look, this is our mission. It's
Mhm.
okay if we're not that provider, and being able to be comfortable with that and communicate with your staff that that is the right messaging, correct? Like that's a tough line to walk, but I think you summed
Yeah,
that up.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you hire for it too, and
Right.
so like I kind of am like, you want happy employees, you hire happy people. And that's something that I didn't know in the beginning. It's like, oh yeah, if you want a happy employee, hire somebody that's happy and really take your time with the hiring, ask more questions, go through more interview processes and find out, what are their core values? Are they aligned with your core values? Because that is going to set you up. Is you still are not going to make 100, you're still going to make mistakes with your hiring. And but I learned from those mistakes, and every person that I've hired, I almost feel like it was my fault because I didn't ask enough questions, or if it didn't work out, or we weren't in alignment. And I always kind of look back and I'm like, okay, what didn't I see? What questions didn't I ask? And I'm constantly adding more questions to my list and spending more time with employees before I hire them. But also, you want to keep the employees you've got, and motivate them and coach them to improve and, love your business as much as you do.
Yeah, I love that. And I remember just not long ago, I was talking when we were doing a practice growth meeting with with somebody else, and they talked about how you do that. They described it as, when I'm in the room with a patient, it's like sensory deprivation. There's no other sound that exists except their voice. There's nothing else I see except them. There's nothing else that happens that isn't focused on them. So I love how you brought that forward too, and that's kind of very important to have. One of the other things that you mentioned there was, again, the idea of trying not to do everything and overextend right off the start and all of that
Mhm.
sort of stuff. Um, I've stolen it so many times already in conversations and podcasts and webinars, is your thought of, the riches are in the niches, and keeping it
Mhm.
simple and knowing what you do. Tell us a little bit about, again, like your theory behind that, because I love hearing you talk about that and your thought process of how you decide, again, like you said, how you narrowed it down and went, this is us, right? And define that out. And I think that's probably made a huge difference for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this comes back around to your specialty, Ryan, which is marketing, right? So you really want to figure out, who is your ideal client or patient? What
Yeah.
type of client or patient do you want to appeal to? And that comes down to figuring out, what kind of injector are you? So I am, I'm over 50. So I really market to the over 50, I would say 45 to 65 niche. And so I think about, where do they like to hang out? I'm in Naples, Florida. So we are tennis, golf, country club, very seasonal. It's a little bit seasonal from up north to here. So you have to figure out,
Mhm.
where does your ideal patient spend the most of their time? Where do they shop? How old are they? What problems are they dealing with? Do they have sun damage? Do they have wrinkles? And that's where you focus your marketing, is where your patients may be. What are your patients looking for? What do they want to achieve? And that's where, your marketing comes in. And you can't expect to be busy overnight. Patients have to be able to find you. So, how are you going to get the message out of, I'm also very natural results and kind of rejuvenating type treatments for this niche. So I'm appealing to people that want to look the best they can, reverse sun damage. So that is how I'm going to market. And, I use my website to do that. I use social media to do that. Mostly a little bit on Facebook, blogs, podcasts,
Yeah.
so all of these things will help you. And I don't do as much. I used to do some community talks and like women's groups and things like that. I don't do that much anymore with that. It's mostly my website, blogs, and social media at this point.
Perfect. And I think that leads right into, one of the other things you touched on before was about, for like newcomers to the industry, right? Maybe they're already an injector and now they want to start their own practice, or they're coming in from another walk of life or another area of medicine, and now they're working into aesthetics and things like that. advice for newcomers, those people that are beginning their journey. I mean, we can unpack all of this. There's tons already, but
So
is there anything
much.
that is very specific you think to somebody who's just getting started where you go, hey, look, here's what's a little bit different about this industry. Here's something that you may not know yet, or you're going to discover very quickly when you get closer or when you first open your doors.
So I think for newcomers, the most important thing besides, marketing and having your website, you just you have to be on the planet for that. But for me, these the communities like Business of Aesthetics is, on that Facebook group is really so valuable. People share so much. They get on there, they ask questions. So that's super valuable. I find that listening to podcasts like this and reading, I learned so much. I walk my dog in the morning by myself, not with my husband. And so that is my podcast time or my listening to books on tape time. And, I didn't go to business school. I went to PA school and I've had to self-train business information. So I probably read or listen to at least one book every 2 weeks or so. And that learned valuable information. I love Donald Miller's book, Building a Story Brand. I don't know if you have read that one, but that one was wonderful. And like for marketing, Purple Cow, Seth Godlin,
Mhm.
The Culture Code, which is Building Culture in Your Practice by Daniel Coyle. I just read that. So that's been wonderful. I'm reading right now a book called The Messy Middle, and I'm blanking on the author. Scott Belsky. So that has been a wonderful book. So really, really reading is important. Listening to the podcast, joining a mastermind group if you can, of like-minded people that are either ahead of you in business or are able to share. So I think that's really important. But yeah, I mean, those are the main things starting early that are really, I think, important is you have to educate yourself on all of these things. I think the legalities too are really
Yeah.
important of making sure you're doing everything legally and you've got your SOPs in place. So, you have to hire for that. I didn't know those things. I had to, hire a business or hire a company to help me with that. And my standard operating procedures, I'm still developing. Like we change them all the time. It's a work in progress. I mean, you get the basic ones and then, you have to tweak it as you go through growth stages for sure.
Is there anything you still hate doing? Like, I know when you start going into business that it's like oh man, this is I think that's what I hear the most is people who are starting out are just, I didn't expect to do the thing I love the most, the least, right? Like the reason I went into this was to take care of patients. And I find that when I'm first starting out, that's the least part of my time that I get to do. Right. So did you find that was kind of true for you as well, or?
I actually love the business part of it.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
I just I have taken to it like a fish in water. It's fun for me. I'm like, I am making something new. I am giving people a paycheck so that they can support their families. I am, I have health insurance for my employees. I'm giving them something to work towards, to become. One of my medical assistants, I sent her back to school and she became an esthetician. Now she's seeing patients on her own. My other MA is prepping right now to get into PA school. And so I'm super proud of that I have helped my staff get to the next level for whatever they become. So that gives me joy, and that's kind of the universe doing its thing. And I'm here on this journey, hopefully to serve my patients and serve my employees and serve, the business community and just learn as much as I can and give back. And obviously I want to have a successful business and be able to support my own family, but that's what brings me joy. So
I love it.
I love it. If you don't want to do all this business stuff and numbers, you should just work for somebody else, really.
Yeah.
Um, you know, if it drives you crazy and you don't want to look at a P&L, you know, you really be a W-2 employee give yourself a break, because there are amazing employers out there. Just find, if the one that's you're working for isn't working, find a different one, because there are really wonderful employers out there looking for great employees.
Yeah. I think that's important, like you said, right? That people may think it's for them, and if it's not, it's okay. And you can still be wildly successful without needing to have your own brand or your own name on something from that perspective. So it's just as crucial for newcomers to realize that side of it as well. I want to ask you, because you keep saying, you're still growing, you're still going, there's still things you want to learn. You're 14 years in overnight success, 14 years in the making at this stage, right? But at the same time, what's still those things that are driving you, and like that you're still waiting to learn next, and what's the future looking like from that standpoint?
So, well, for my practice, I really, I'm have two other injectors, and I'm looking to grow. We're about to move into a new space that is about double our size. So we have about a 1,400 square foot space right now, and hopefully before Christmas, I have right now my schedule blocked for Thanksgiving to move to a 3,500 square foot space.
Wow.
So we're in the middle of beginning stages of the build out right now. And I anticipate that space will probably max out with about 6 injectors and 2 estheticians. So currently we have 3 injectors and 1 esthetician. So I think I'm like looking at that, I'm like, that's my permanent home. Like, I'm not going anywhere after that.
Yeah.
But I will have room at that space to have a training center. So I'm really looking forward to, right now I train, just one-on-one trainings, and I do this and that. I train for Galderma, which is the company that makes Restylane and Dysport. And I just love it. I just think it's so much fun. So I'm looking forward to really building that space that I have dedicated to be a training center. And I'm hoping to have groups, and maybe, I love the business stuff. So maybe I'll end up teaching more business things, but I definitely want to, share my knowledge. I think rising ships, what is it? Rising tides raise all ships. Something
There you go.
Something like that.
That's it. There it is. I was fishing for it too. I was like, something water and boats. I don't know.
But really, I think there's a need for it in the industry. I really do, especially people like myself who have been around for a little while. I think it's really important for us to share our knowledge with the new people, because aesthetics is growing so fast. There's so many people that want to get into it. And if there are people out there doing things that maybe they shouldn't be, and they need to be trained to do it better, I think it's really important to share.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's something that is just so incredible about you, is, again, here you are balancing work life, but still being like, I want to do a podcast, and I'm going to put it in my schedule so I can tell everybody about how to be more successful and how to give back and all of that. I'm going to reverse the order of how we do this, because I think it's the more natural outro, given that people are now probably asking, so Dana, how do I get in contact with you? Because I want to learn more. I want to talk to you about this. Again, you're so supportive and you reach out, and I know you always offer that. I'd love to open that up for an invitation so that our audience can always get in contact with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. My handle is Naples Beauty Injector. So that's probably the easiest way to really get in touch with me directly. On my website, I have a injector training page. So that's also a wonderful way to get in touch with me. That's through my Deluxe Med, www.deluxemedspa.com. And you can always reach out to me. I'm on the Business of Aesthetics Facebook group, and I'm pretty active on there. So that's also a great way to just find me on Facebook and reach out to me, and, let me know what questions you have and how I can help you.
Absolutely love it. And now, since we reversed it, usually we do that part last, but for this one, what's your lasting thoughts here? Anything else that you want to tell our audience? Any words of encouragement, I think, is one of your biggest strong points, right? For people that are looking for them. So I'll let you kind of close off here.
I think Be open to feedback from, have more staff meetings, number one, but be open to feedback of really looking into yourself and how you can learn and grow from each setback. And I look at just that, I call it failing forward. We have a glitch channel in Slack for our business, and I call it glitches are wins. So anytime things are not perfect in the practice or there's anything, I'm like, how can we win from this? And that's how we improve. And I look at every little setback as a way, I'm like, thank you. Okay? Because if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't figure out how to make it better.
I love it. And Dana, I absolutely love doing these with you. I guess next time it's my turn, right? So it'll be
Yeah.
we'll reverse the order and keep taking turns. But thank you so much, Dana Zeitler, for joining us again today. An amazing co-host. I always love doing this with you and taking us through your journey. You've already seen and heard the feedback from our listeners, but they adore hearing from you. And I absolutely love spending this time with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Amazing. And of course, always we have to thank our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you as well. And we can't do what we do without you. So if you like our podcast, please kindly share it with your friends and colleagues and on social media. And please don't forget to write a review wherever you listen to your podcast. It's your thoughts and your help that will bring us more amazing doctors and practice owners just like Dana to give you this wonderful advice and just an enlightening conversation. So until we meet again, I wish everybody an amazing week ahead. Thanks everybody, and take care.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Business of Aesthetic podcast series brought to you by our gold sponsor, Equa Marketing. Would you like to join our growing group of aesthetic industry experts and get featured on the Business of Aesthetics podcast? Or do you know someone who would love to share their strategies for growth in the aesthetic business, providing quality patient care or their clinical expertise? Head over to www.businessofesthetics.org/podcast show and apply to be featured as a guest on the show. Remember to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Amazon Music, or wherever you listen. If you would like to engage with today's speakers or any of our past speakers, join our Facebook group or LinkedIn group by searching for Business of Aesthetics. Thank you and have a great day.